Welcome to the Kingdom Man podcast, where we discuss some of the hard topics facing men with a Christian perspective. I am your host, James Russell. Happy to be back with you today. Men, to kick this off, and I say men because I know there are some ladies out there who listen as well. This is good information for pretty much everyone, but I'm targeting men because, well, everyone seems to be targeting men. And usually not in a good way. So I see men who are constantly being beaten down and made to look like idiots by the media. And that's something that I do not believe should be happening. I believe a strong America comes as a result of having strong men, not stupid, weak men. So I've decided to do my best to make this country the best place ever because I'm trying to make myself the best person ever. And I believe that when you men become the best you that there can be, we're going to have a better society, a better place to have families, to raise our children, a better place to put roots in the ground. So that's why we do this. Now, today, I want to talk about something in particular. It's about testing yourself. Now, I may have hit on this in previous podcasts, but this one, we're going to be a little more concentrated because I'm going through that testing phase myself. And if you've listened to recent podcasts, you would know that I've started jiu-jitsu. It's something I talk about a lot because it's something that's on my brain a lot. But I'm not going to really talk about jiu-jitsu per se, but it is the catalyst, the thing that I am using to test myself. And when I first started, I did not like what I saw. There was a whole lot of weakness in me. And it didn't take a whole lot of pressure for me to begin to panic. And I wouldn't think that about myself until I put myself out there, before I test myself to see what exactly am I made of. And that's something that we are missing in our society today. We don't have process of turning boys into men. We just have older boys growing up. Now, some people I've heard say, it is evident that we have just older boys walking around because we have people who are dressed like older boys instead of dressed like men. I don't necessarily fall into that category. I can understand the viewpoint, but think about it. Little boys wear shorts and t-shirts. How many grown men are walking around wearing shorts and t-shirts? Me. I do that, absolutely. But there's really no distinction, even amongst the way that we present ourselves, that is different from what boys do. We have to be intentional about how we approach this. What makes you a man and not a boy anymore? I put a poll out on Facebook, on our Facebook page, and really there wasn't a whole lot of good answers there. What most people said in their reply to me was that, once they turn 18, they're an adult. Okay. Legally, yes. But how were they different one day from the next? What made them a man? Simply being old enough? Having a certain age makes you a man? Maybe in the eyes of the law, but in the eyes of yourself, how do you differentiate yourself? At what point did you become a man? In ancient societies, they would have all kinds of tests, all kinds of ways to show and for you to prove to yourself and to the community that you had what it took, that you were a man. You can see a picture of this in the film 300. Where Leonidas was cast out of the Spartan society, made to live on his own, survive. And if he was able to survive and come back, then he would be treated as a man. And he came back with the lion skin on his back. He went out, faced some serious things, and proved to himself and others that he had what it took. Now, obviously, that's a film. That's not necessarily what happened in the Spartan society, but I imagine it's not far off. But man, what we really need to focus on that manhood is not something that you just age your way into. Manhood is something that you earn. If you've done nothing to test yourself, then how do you know what you're capable of? Where are your weak points? Where are your breaking points? What kind of adversity will it take to come at you for you just to collapse? And what kind of adversity has to come at you for you to look deep within yourself to figure out what are you really capable of? Are you capable of being a hero? And how do you know that when the time comes that you'll be the hero rather than the coward? The only way that you'll be able to know that you've reached that point is if we go back to, I believe, my second podcast, where you need to do hard things. This is why we constantly say this over and over and over again, because when you do hard things, you begin to realize that you're made of harder things. What lies within you is stronger. When you do hard things, you become more confident and realize that you have more within you. So that's why we do hard things. Not because it's fun. Since when are hard things fun things? But when we conquer the hard things, that becomes the fun thing. So what makes you a man? What makes you capable? What sets you apart from being a child? What have you done? These are questions that society just wants us to ignore. And because we have been ignoring them for so long, we have become a nation of weaker men. Now, there are some strong men among us. Absolutely. But they have become so pushed out of the spotlight, out of what boys should be looking up to, out of becoming role models. And the only thing that we see is what is promoted on media. And that's a bunch of weak, sissy, stupid men. So what many have done is become heroes on a video game. Because we want to be heroes, but we don't know how. And society tells us that they don't want us to be. So we find a place online, on some gaming console. And that's where we go to become what we really know we ought to be. But the problem is, while we're pushing buttons to become a hero, we're becoming lazy and fat. And though we could really conquer in that gaming world, when we meet confrontation in the real world, we fall apart. I don't want that to be you. I don't want that to be me. So I'm here to tell you that we need to test ourselves. Push yourself as far as you can. Find out where your borders really lie. Find out what you are made of to your core. And there's several programs that you can sign up for that will do this for you. You may have heard of people like Bedros Koulian. I believe that's how you say his last name. He's got an awesome story of being an immigrant to this country and coming from nothing and ending up being a millionaire. He has the legitimate rags to riches story. And one of the things that he does is has a program to push men to their breaking point. It's like the Hell Week from Buds for those who want to become Navy SEALs. He pushes men through, I believe, 3 days of that. Just to get men who aren't military, who don't have access to those things, to realize how much more they have within them. So yeah, you can sign up for a program like that. But that's not necessary. You can spend thousands of dollars doing that, and you'll probably get a lot of information out of that. It's easier to have more people involved to push you beyond it, because oftentimes, if we're really trying to find the depths of ourselves, we try to do that by ourselves. And that's really hard to push you as far as you can go. But when you've got money on the line, when you've got pride on the line, these things kind of help push you a little bit further. And from what I hear, those things don't even really matter as much when it comes to the military, as one of the most motivating factors is not letting the guy next to you down. We've become men who are solo. We are by ourselves, have proven nothing to ourselves, and have no one to fight with or for. Men, we've got to stop becoming weak in our minds and in our souls, and realize that we are made for tough and hard things. When you go through those tough and hard things, you have appreciation for others who are going through tough and hard things. You actually have some empathy. You realize what it took for you to go through that thing, and can have some empathy for other men and help them achieve. And that is what we are about. Our 3 verticals for this podcast is to give, to guard, and to guide. And testing yourself is majorly on the guarding side, because you don't know what you're capable of until you test yourself. And once you've tested yourself, this is when we're coming back to the empathy, you can help guide. So of our 3 verticals, this hits 2 of them. And we need men to step up, to push themselves. Our diets are depressing us. Our jobs are depressing us. We've got no close interactions, no close friends. We are becoming so weak and divided. And that's got to stop. And that is why we have the Kingdom Man podcast and several other podcasts that you can listen to. I'm not the only man out there proclaiming these things. But if you will listen to me, then great. I'll be a light. I'll be the best beacon I can be. But we need you. Your family needs you to put down the little Debbies and prove to yourself what you're capable of. Your children are watching. And the more that we become fat and lazy, guess what? The more that they become fat and lazy. And I know that's not something you want for them. But you've got to do something yourself to show them that there's another option. Because society will not show them that. You have to be the light. So until we next meet, go find out what you're really made of. And you won't regret it. This is James Russell on the Kingdom Man podcast. We'll see you next time.